Today's video is going to focus around the level called the Bloop, and you've probably been hearing this level make its rounds recently, as it was just verified by Zoink, as we can see here. Very happy. He finally did it. And he's been doing that for a couple weeks, and if that was all that happened, I wouldn't be making a video on this. However, this level's been quite the controversial thing very recently, as there's been a couple odd things about the level and how it was verified, and I want to go cover those and just give my thoughts on the situation. So the first one is that people are saying that this level is really lazy and it has no reason to exist, as it's just a blue Kinos. And I don't agree that the level shouldn't exist. However, I do kind of find it weird that this is just based on Kinos, because, I mean, for the people who say, there are some people who say that it isn't, but let's just take a look here. Take a look at that wave, and take a look at the Kinos wave. That is the same thing. And you can see it continues like that. Look, okay, you go through some wave, you go through a little mini bit of the wave, and then you get a little small cube section, and then you go into this wave with like these one spike pillars here. We got the Kinos. You got some wave, you got some mini wave, you go into a small cube part, and then you get thrown into another mini wave with one spike pillars here. It's the same thing. And I don't get why it did that, because the theme has nothing to do with Kinos at all. The theme is about just this underwater mysterious vibe, as the Bloop is this kind of mysterious fish that people think might exist, might not, right? And it references that creature a lot, and it does show its underwater themes very well. You can see you've got mines in the background, and it does have that very exotic, weird feel to it. Like, I do like this level, but it is just kind of weird how it's based on Kinos, which, I mean, why? And that leads on to the next part, which is people are saying that this only exists to get more levels verified on the list, and specifically that case is being acknowledged because of the way the Zoink handled the verification. So originally this level was meant to be this like top 50 to maybe 75, basically a low main list, and that was the goal, and people were excited because it looked very enjoyable. However, the problem is that Zoink started buffing the level. He started deciding to make some questionable buffs, and he said he was doing it because he wanted to enjoy the level himself. He wanted to make a level that he would enjoy and not take into factor a bunch of people telling him, you need to nerf this or you need to buff the level. Like, he just did what he thought was necessary, and that led to it getting a bit harder. And then you could see that now, on his last verification streams, he started saying that the level is around 20 to 75, which is quite the range. That is quite the big range. That is between defeated circles, and if you go all the way down, like Arcturus, Beeline, Sonic Wave Infinity, that is a big gap. Despite all these levels seeming like to be really impossible, that is a large gap in skill. And clearly these buffs have impacted the Bloop. We can see this player said that they spent 1,000 attempts in practice mode on the Bloop and thinks it's around top 10. I'm sure the top 10 bit is a bit exaggerated, but it's proof that they think that it's a lot harder than Zoink is leading on, and they can back it up because they've nearly beaten levels like Kyuki, they've beaten stuff like 7 Club Step, they're a really good player. We also have other players like Bach here, who has Sakupin Circles in 2 runs and good chunks of the level, as well as a bunch of list completions, and they say that it's probably harder than Sakupin Circles. Actually, it's way harder than Sakupin Circles, and probably harder than Defeated Circles, meaning it went from, you know, the low main list it was supposed to be, to now around the top 20, if not higher, and as you can see, they nearly spent 1,000 attempts on it as well. So, yeah, this level is a bit questionable. However, again, everything I've said right now, take it with a grain of salt, because we don't really know any victors' opinions yet, so we can't tell if the level is, you know, that bad or not. However, I would like to say, I disagree with the people sending hate to the level. I think it's fine that it's, you know, a Kinos based. I don't see why it should be, but it's not harming anyone, and Honestly, I just hope that the buffs didn't ruin the level, but again, only time will tell. So yeah, GG on Zoink for verifying this. Good luck with your future accomplishments, and yeah, that's all I got to say. Let's end the video on a 5-second clip of just admiring this bloop over here.